Let me just sit back here at my usual stop or spot. And as I have this beer, I want to tell you about what I found out yesterday from that couch surfing girl that I met. But before maybe the plan for today, so I wanted to go see that Foxconn factory, where they make all the iPhones, and they say the working conditions are terrible. They got like suicide nets and shit, which I heard like some people say is actually not the case. They are in fact better treaters of their workers than other Chinese factories, which means that like overall it's pretty shitty, I guess, to work. I mean, there's the concept of like a Chinese sweatshop, but it turns out this is actually one of the better ones. But anyways, it's a huge factory, and they're not gonna let me in there. My plan was to just kind of see from the outside, but I'm thinking like I'm probably not gonna be able to see that much, and it would be much better to actually go to Huashuang Bay, the place I was at yesterday, where they got all the electronics. And it's actually a huge place. I mean, I spent quite a bit of time there, but they got that whole strip, like the whole street, full of buildings, and they have like 9 floors, and all the fucking floors are occupied with suppliers for electronic components and interesting robots and shit. So I feel like it's better to see that. It would teach me more to see that in Shenzhen. Maybe I'll see some like product that has not made it to the West yet. I'll see what the Chinese are working on. Unique things like that, I think, is a better use of my precious time in Shenzhen. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm just gonna walk and try to find like interesting things. I'll just be vlogging my experience. Here's one of the things that I bought, by the way. Alien Energy. This is like oh, I thought this was lychee flavored, but they have like a lychee flavored version of this. This is peach. Probably this is good too. It's got 200 milligrams of caffeine, and it has no gas. It's just like a clear liquid, basically like an energy drink without the gas, like the acid, and like it's probably got some like bad shit in here too, but it's like better than a Monster, it seems. It's got like striations here. Maybe that's to recycle properly, who knows. But I mean, I take my caffeine clean anyways. I just take a fucking caffeine pill. But sometimes you want to drink something in the morning, and this might be good. It's kind of like Celsius, I guess, without the gas. And then the other thing, this fucking weird Chinese alcohol, 56%. I had to try this. 100 milliliters. We'll see. But it probably tastes terrible, so I bought some Diet Coke as well. All right, so I want to talk about a little bit of what I learned from this Chinese lady yesterday. So pretty much she says that China's actually not I was asking her like why how's like the economic outlook in China? Like, what do people think about? What do they expect of China's economic future? And she says that like they're pessimistic, which I was surprised because you look at Shenzhen, and it was a fishing village a couple tens of years ago, but now it's a prosperous city with skyscrapers. So how can you be pessimistic when you see a story like that? And she says like they don't think that the economic growth of China can be sustained any longer. Like at some point it's gonna have to plateau, which might be right, might be wrong, I don't know. But to a degree, yes, like you can't grow forever. And I also tend to think a little bit this way, primarily because like China's starting point was very low because they had communism, so like they were deprived of the advancements of the rest of the world. And so when you try to catch up, it's very easy to catch up because the like current world is here and you have purposefully left yourself here, so it's like very easy to catch up. But as you get closer, then the catching up process is slower, so the rate is going to go down, in my opinion, as well. And that's what she seems to think as well. And the second reason I think that is because like China is, yes, innovating in some areas. As I was saying yesterday, like DJI is a great drone company, BYD is a good electric car company in terms of value, like they don't have the best technology, but like for the price, it's a pretty good fucking car, so they're definitely like making their own products. It's not all like imitation, but there's let me say, not that much advanced technology being made in China. It's more like imitation, and when you make imitation, then it's good as long as the thing that you're imitating is still moving. But if that thing is not moving and you catch up, then now you're like, you guys are both at the same line. And to move forward, you either have to wait for the other team to make a move and then copy them, or you have to make your own move. And I think it's hard for China to make their own move, primarily because they don't have that much freedom here, because in order to innovate, you need to live in a free society. You need to be able to speak your mind freely, have access to information freely, not be afraid to make mistakes, and especially not develop technology that might not make the government happy. For example, the internet, when it first came out, it was a great tool for freedom. I don't think China would allow a tool that advances freedom. But technology tends to advance freedom. It tends to make people free from government control. Like, take cryptology as an example. Encrypted messaging apps, like the idea of Bitcoin itself. These are all like new technology in our age that limits the government's control over people. Think about social media, people's ability to broadcast. This replaces the entire media landscape. Like, the reason why a lot of people are listening to podcasts now as opposed to like legacy media is because you can speak freely there. But you can speak freely on podcasts because, or like, let me put it this way, like a lot of trust in mainstream media has eroded in the past maybe 10-20 years. And the reason for that is because previously people had no access to broadcasting information because our technology was limited. We had like limited bandwidth, only a couple channels on TV. We did not have like, they used to segment radio waves. This broadcast is used for military, this is used for this, that, whatever. And that's why you had like limited channels on TV. And the point is, like, when you have limited channels on TV, the government can control those limited channels and say, okay, this information may only be disseminated. Same with like newspapers a while ago. It's like, which like common citizen has enough capital to start a newspaper company and like a paper printing company and broadcast information? No one. Limited. It was like 2-3 people who could like afford to get into that business, and that meant like you had control over information. But now anyone who has access to a smartphone, which is increasingly getting cheaper and cheaper, examples like Xiaomi, a Chinese phone, which is like insanely cheap for what it provides, can easily open a TikTok account and start saying shit. And you can open a Twitter account and start giving information. And this is why the government has lost its grasp on information control. What's my point with this? My point is that technology tends to advance freedom, and for China to be the primary progressor of technology, they need to have freedom. One, in order to innovate and experiment with new ideas and come up with these ideas. But two, once these ideas come up, they need to have like, their system cannot be against the freedom that these new technological developments provide, and they don't have that. So for that reason, I guess I agree with the girl yesterday who says that China's economic growth cannot be sustained for too long, I suppose. I hope that makes sense. I was kind of a free flow speaking, just kind of trying to summarize what we talked about yesterday. The second issue is like tariffs with Trump. So I asked, like, okay, well, a lot is going to change in this 4 years. Trump is coming. What does China think about Trump? And she said that she was not happy that Trump was coming because she does not want a bad relationship with the U.S. I suppose like some people in the U.S. say that like tariffs are not working and it's not good. China's evading the tariffs one way or another, which is true. They're sending their shit to Vietnam, and then from Vietnam comes to US or whatever. But she says that like US is actually developing quite a lot of advanced measures to detect if something came from China to Vietnam and then Vietnam to the US. So it's becoming harder to evade the tariffs. And also it's also the fact that it's an extra cost for the Chinese to ship their shit to Vietnam, pay the people there. Maybe like from what I know, they just like almost completed, and then they make the last step of manufacturing in Vietnam, and then it becomes a made in Vietnam item, and then they just ship it to the US. But you know, all of this is like extra cost for the seller, but also for the buyer. Like, to be honest, I'm not a fan of tariffs, because tariffs are just taxes, you know. And as a libertarian, I'm not a fan of taxes. I would prefer tariffs to income taxes for sure, which are basically like directly the government tells you, hey, give me your motherfucking money. But tariffs are still taxes. And essentially, one way or another, we pay for them. We pay for them. How? I mean, we have access to goods that are more expensive. Like now, if we have a 25% tariff, then everything you buy is going to be 25% more expensive. You know, a portion of this tariff is going to be paid by the seller, the Chinese, and a portion is going to be paid by the Americans, the buyers. But in the end, the goods are going to be more expensive. So it's basically like a sales tax. You know, we're increasing the sales tax by 25%, which, like I said, I'm okay with if we instead get rid of the income tax and just fund our entire government with tariffs or sales taxes and so on. Because taxes disincentivize whatever you tax. And I think it's good to disincentivize consuming rather than producing income. You know, producing income is a hard thing. It's a productive thing. You go work, you make money. And when you make money, what does it mean? For you to make money, you produce something of value and you provide it to the economy. And that's how you make money. People give their money to you voluntarily because you made something useful. So earning a salary, earning money, you don't want to disincentivize this. So having an income tax is not good. But consuming is the easy part. You know, producing is the hard part. Americans have it backwards. They think that consuming fuels the economy. This is like a false belief. Producing is the hard part. You know, you first have to make shit and then you consume that shit, because you consume what you make. You know, so consumption does not fuel the economy. Production fuels the economy, because you can't consume without producing. So one has to come before the other, and production comes before consumption. So anyways, we should be incentivizing production. So we shouldn't be having taxes on income. But we could, in the end, essentially, I would want lower taxes overall, yes. But in the end, if we are gonna have taxes, it's better to have those on the consumption. Well, anyways, so yeah, she was a little upset about the whole Trump and tariffs things. Then I asked her about like how is life in Shenzhen and shit, and she said like Shenzhen is like literally everyone here. As I said before, like you can see the city is like hustling and bustling. And she said that everyone in Shenzhen came here 50 years ago, or like at most 50 years ago, because 50 years ago this was a fishing village. You know, there was like 10 people living here and they were fishing. Now there are millions of people. You know, all these skyscrapers and shit. It's a huge city, and the reason is the whole like opening up of China, and they set this place as one of the economic zones where they implement capitalism for the first time, experiment with capitalism, and obviously the experiment is working well, so they kept it going. But everyone in Shenzhen is from a different part of China. They're all immigrants here, and they came here to work. They came here for one reason, and that's to work and make fucking money. And that's why everyone here is, first of all, young, because young people work. You know, young people want to make money. So the city is young and the city's active. Everyone's fucking moving fast. You know, shit's happening here. And that's why they call it the Silicon Valley of China. But then it's like the work culture, you know, is pretty hard to survive out here. She said something about like 996, which is like they work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And I asked her, what do you do on the 7th day? She said, like, we just sleep or lay and do nothing. Because when you work that much, you just want to like do nothing. And I guess that's like, yeah, it's pretty like tiring and, you know, a little sad. She was also like very upset. Like not very upset, but like she said that her family like doesn't really care about her. They just care about like how much money she makes. She says that they left me. I came here by myself. And first of all, like congratulations to her, because she's working very hard. Like she was working at a company by her as an employee, but then she left that company and she started her own business trying to sell shit, you know, sourcing products in Shenzhen and selling them in US like what do you call those expositions and shit. She goes there and tries to find consumers, so on and so forth. Like everything is made in Shenzhen. Seriously, all electronics are made in Shenzhen. Like go to Amazon and search for a blender, you're gonna see like 50 different brands, but all of those brands are actually selling the same thing. These, like today, we'll go into the electronic markets and see they make like white label products. So like they don't have a brand. You just like slap on your brand after the fact. So like you want to make a blender, okay? So you get the white label blender from Shenzhen, and you say you make up a name. You say like Ninja's Swipe, whatever, like Nutriblast or shit like that. Some like cool blender name, and then like at the last step, they just print your name onto the blender and go to Amazon, search for blender, search for vacuum cleaner, whatever, some sort of electronic. You're gonna see all of the fucking products are actually the same product. They just have different brand names. It's because they all come from Shenzhen. It's made in one place. It's like generic, you know, like you have generic peanut butter and you have like brand name peanut butter, but they're most of them are made in the same factory. You just like slap on a brand name later. Anyway, so everything's made in Shenzhen. They're working really hard. What was I saying? I mean, she's like, yeah, her family like calls her once every like, I don't know, once a month, once every 2 months, and you just ask her like, how much money do you make? And if it's good, then they're like happy, and that's it. She says like they don't care about me. She's just like alone here in Shenzhen, similar to a lot of other people who live in Shenzhen. They come here to make money, and yeah, I don't know. That's just China, you know. They're working really hard. I guess that's like Asia in general. Comes from like the whole culture of rice farming from way back in the days. Rice farming is like very energy intensive, very labor intensive. So they have developed this, I'm not gonna say appetite, but like this, I guess this discipline, like this ability to have discipline. And their culture is all like this, like work, work, work. It's like your dad comes to your room, hey, are you a doctor yet? No, I'm not, dad. Okay, cool. And comes back 5 days later, you're still 12 years old. And he asks you, hey, are you a doctor yet? It's just China, you know? Or it's just Asia. Like Japan is like that too. Japan, they have like the concept of the salary man. So like in Japan, the woman runs the family. She takes like, she's kind of like the manager. He sends the man, hey, go get bread. And Japanese man goes to metro, go to work, come back, home, sleep. Every day he's just a salary man. You know, that's what they call it. And Japanese woman takes care of, sends the man to work, sends the kids to school, you know, manages the finances and stuff like this. And then Japanese men, they work and then they get fucking drunk, like crazy drunk. You know, I've never seen people get drunk. Like I'm having a beer at noon in Shenzhen, but you know, I'm traveling, I'm walking around, and some people might say like, this is, yo, are you fucking crazy? You're having a beer at 12 o'clock. But like, you haven't seen the way Japanese drink. If you think like what I'm doing is crazy. I was just there, and they sell like whiskey in 5-liter plastic bottles. I mean, that alone just tells you. But you know, if you go to Japan, go to like an izakaya and just watch how drunk they get, or have like a Japanese supplier and they'll take you out to dinner, and you'll like, I've never seen a business meeting like this. But then, you know, that's like, it's just sad to work like that. In Japan, they have this like, it's not prostitution, but you can like rent girls, and they're usually like college girls, and you just like talk to them for I don't know the price and I don't know the time, but like Japanese businessmen mostly, they just want like companionship. Like it's not sex or anything, it's not prostitution. It's just like, imagine being so overworked and lonely that you have to pay someone to just like talk to them, you know? You pay a girl to talk to them. Just companionship, you know? You're paying for companionship, which, you know, I don't know, I'm a free market libertarian. You can do whatever you want, but it's just indicates that there's a lack of that in their society, which, you know, and then Japanese people kill themselves at a pretty high rate. You know, it's a pretty big suicide issue. When I was in Tokyo, like trains would announce, and you know, Japanese trains are never late, but sometimes they apologizingly make an announcement saying that they're gonna be a little late because there's a guy who jumped in front of the train, and this would happen like every day. Happens, yeah. That's just like Asian society for you. But you know, hey, like they're fucking working, you know. Meanwhile, Europe is just like on permanent siesta. They're just constantly drinking wine, feeling fine, you know. But then who makes the future, you know? Who's going to define the future? People that work. Like I said, production comes before consumption. So, but you can't blame Europe too, you know. They got like crazy government, super high taxes. They're disincentivizing working. That's what Europe does. Crazy high taxes on income. And no one's working. I'm so fucking surprised. I wonder why no one's working in Europe. Could it be because you give a punishment, aka a tax, to people who work? That might be why. Anyways, so, you know, that's her life, and life in Shenzhen is hard. She was saying like there's a joke in Shenzhen of like if two girls in other parts of China they meet, they talk about boys and they gossip and shit. If two girls in Shenzhen they meet, they talk about business, they try to figure out how to make money and stuff like that. Cool, it's a different place, you know. Here's it's crazy. I guess finally I talked about like I asked about like how life's in China, you know, with the government and stuff. And she said like, for example, she has a VPN because she needs to talk to Western clients. And like I said, in Chinese the internet is in China the internet is blocked off, so you can't like you access your Western apps, you can't do anything outside of the firewall is what they call it, like Chinese Great Firewall. It's like they have a physical Great Wall, but they also have like an internet Great Wall. You can't access information here and you can't access the information outside, so you need a VPN, but a VPN is illegal too. So that's what I told her, like, isn't a VPN illegal? And she said yeah, but the government like also wants money to come. So she knows that everything she does on her phone is being tracked, but the government is not gonna come after her because she's just a good user of the VPN. You know, she brings in money using the VPN. She does business. But if she starts like talking about T Square and fucking Taiwan and you know Tibet and all that stuff, then she says they'll come after me. And I said like, so how's it like living like this? And she said like most Chinese, they don't care because they've gotten so rich over the past 50 years. Like their economy, their living standard has gone up so much that they have like, this is not one of their worries. They're just like really grinding to make more money. They really like this new thing now, which is called making money, you know, improving your life. So they are I guess they don't mind it, and they can't do anything about it, you know. They don't have elections, just one party rule, you know. So like why worry about it? I guess like it's not a problem until it becomes a problem, and I guess if it becomes a problem they'll start doing something. I don't know. Oh, and finally, like, I don't know if I already told this, but like I was saying like, is like how's the outlook, how do they see the, yeah, I was talking about this, but they are pessimistic of their economy, which is surprising because it's developing quite a bit. But like apparently Chinese are like saving their money, they don't spend their money. Well, not apparently, that's like pretty obvious because they sell all the shit to us, US, and then they go and save again using our US treasuries, or they buy like real estate. Like real estate is huge in China, and some people say it's a bubble and shit because real estate is safe, you know, it's a safe investment. So if the society is investing, money tells you what they think, right? Because everyone cares about their money. So you know, you can talk the talk, but like if you look at money, that's the real answer. And their money is in treasuries, US treasuries, which are seen as safe. In my opinion, it's not safe because I don't want to lend money to the irresponsible, spoiled child called the US government. But anyways, it's traditionally seen as a safe investment. And real estate is also a safe investment, unless it's a bubble, which it might be in China. But nevertheless, like default textbook says real estate and treasury bonds are safe. And that's what they do with their money. So that confirms what she's saying, which is that they're not optimistic about their economy's future. Because Shenzhen has a stock market as well. You know, if they are all making this money and investing in their own stock market, then maybe that says like they would be optimistic about their future. But I don't know. I don't understand why they're pessimistic because they literally make everything, you know, and making is the hard part. Consuming is the easy part. So if you have this huge economy where you're making all this shit and it's developing like crazy, why are you not optimistic? Well, I guess because they're just making imitation products for cheaper, which is still good, but there's no advancements, like I said. And is that ever going to happen? I don't know. Because China as a whole needs to change. Like the whole government oversight control thing mechanism has to change, and that is just their that's their society. This is the People's Republic of China, you know. Yeah. Well, anyways, so today let's go see more electronics. I want to see like all 9 floors of all the buildings in that big street where they sell everything, you know. I want to discover like interesting products. This is a pretty long rant. Yeah, let's go see some real shit now.